Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, we're going to mix it up a little bit here. After you. Oh yeah, after the challenge. Go ahead. Still mixing it up a little bit here.
Please join me in your words to light our chalice. They are in your order of service. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning, in celebration of the life we share together.
David, that's usually my job, to step in front of people. Is this a good time to, you got something?
Well, we're doing the song, but if you want to say something.
Yeah, so when
Mix it up. It's okay.
what I want to say is the lighting of our chalice as we begin to calm our hearts and calm our spirits and be ready for what comes next.
Okay, so you might not recognize this gentleman here. This is Dumbledore from Harry Potter. He has a secret identity though, and if you don't remember the name Daniel Roberts, if you don't remember Daniel Roberts actually performing for you, you're in for a real treat today. So let's make Daniel welcome coming back here. And over here, we also have some new faces in the Seven Principles. Up the end, Rosemary Staples. Hi, Rosemary. Welcome. You all know Diana, Ellen, John, Joanne, but then Joanne number 2 here. Joanne Brown and Marcella. And because Tom has a very special service planned for you today, instead of doing some music later on, we're going to do some music for you now. So, by a show of hands, let me ask, how many of you are feeling a little anxious about the way of the world today?
This song's for you.
Okay, well, this song is for you. By the name, you may not know the song by the name, but once you hear the chorus, most of you will know the song. If you want to sing along, feel free to sing along. And let me grab my guitar and we'll get going here. You're going to pull closer.
That's it, Mike. Oh my God.
Betsy and Mike are back. You see what happens when you show up late, guys? You miss all the fun. Okay, here we go. Ready?
Don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Singing, don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Rise up this morning, smile with the rising sun. 3 little birds sit by my doorstep, singing sweet songs of melodies pure and true. Singing, this is my message to you. Singing, don't worry about a thing, by my doorstep, singing sweet songs of melodies pure and true, singing, this is my message to you, singing, don't worry, everybody, worry about a thing, worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing gonna be alright. Don't worry, singing, don't worry about a thing. I won't worry, 'cause every little thing's gonna be alright. Don't worry about a thing. Worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing's gonna be alright. Don't worry, everybody. Don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing's gonna be alright. One more time. Sing it, don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing's gonna be alright. 'Cause every little thing's gonna be alright. 'Cause every little thing's gonna be alright.
You know you're at a Unitarian service when that's the opening song. That was fabulous, guys. It really is a message that we all need to hear, and if I can coattail on that just a little bit, as I announced last week, we're going to open the sanctuary on November the 6th, which is the day after the election, that we can all gather. By the way, you guys look fabulous. That we can gather together here and commiserate with each other, or celebrate with each other, or just be together with each other, because this is where our support comes from. As a community, we need each other.
Celebrate.
Celebrate. Because every little thing. All right. Thank you. Oh, thank you. I'll be opening this at 10 o'clock. I know Anthony's going to be making arrangements to be here with some coffee. There'll be donuts as well, too. I'll make sure to bring some of those. So we'll just gather and say, hey, and weep with each other or celebrate with each other. No, we're going to celebrate with each other, because every little thing is going to be all right. I do want to draw you to a number of announcements, but I wanted to share this with you as we get ready to begin. In your reading later on in the service, there is a paragraph that I think is quite fitting for us, and I just wanted to read it out loud here in this moment. This comes from Kenneth Patton, who writes, "Life comes with singing and laughter, tears and confiding, with a rising wave too great to be held in the mind and heart and body, to those who have fallen in love with life." I'm looking at a congregation who has fallen in love with life. Yes?
Yes.
Amen. Let's see, there's some announcements that I want to bring to your attention by some folks that need to come. Diane and Leslie, would you start to come up real quick? And I also want to draw your attention, as they're coming up, to Music on Malchus. All that information is in your bulletin, and other activities that are taking place throughout the week. And now, if you would please, thank you.
Well, congratulations to our peace team. We've completed 30 days in 30 ways. And as a thank you,
we made some hearts of kindness. So for everyone who even turned in a form or even thought about turning in a form, there's a table out there in the lobby near on the right-hand side, and please take one and wear it with pride.
Thank you.
even if you only did one act of kindness, it was really important. So thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. This is an amazing congregation, and it's really a delight to be in front of you and to hear these kinds of things going on. Let's see. I think I'm going to ask Ann Harrison. You want to do this now or later? Yeah, let's do this now. Okay. Yeah.
All right, so we just thought that the kids and I would come in front of you this morning to let you see our costumes, and also we had another idea. What we're going to do right now is we're going to give each one of the kids a bucket, and Amy, our baker, can help, and Nancy, our witch, can help us with that. And if you give each one of the kids can take a bucket or a bag. Yep, and we have little ones for the little ones, and we have bigger ones for the big ones, and these buckets and pumpkins and are full of treats, and they're full of treats for the people that are in the congregation. Right. So we are not going to eat those. What we thought would be nice is as we leave here today, we will come down the aisles with our buckets of treats, and we are going to do a give a treat instead of a trick or treat. So with that said, half the group can go down this middle aisle over here with Amy and Nancy, and we're all actually going to exit this way, but half the group will go down that aisle, the other half will go down that aisle, and we will wish you all a trick or treat, and help yourself and take a goodie from the pumpkin or the bucket. Okay.
So while that is happening, by the way, I got my Tootsie Roll. So while that is happening, those of you who are guests and visitors, in a minute, I'm going to ask you to stand.
I'll take right? All right, and then we'll go down this aisle. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Great idea.
Everybody's good? Yeah? I got mine.
You'll say after my name.
Did you hear the music? I didn't hear the
These Tootsie Rolls are good. I haven't had them in ages. I'm taking another one. Thank you, Justin.
So our board chair just came over to me and says, clearly you've lost control. To another fabulous control, and that's the kids and their time together. Thank you, Ann. We do have some other announcements that I want to begin the process. Oh, no, let me do our guests and visitors before we go any further. Those of you who are on my far right, your far left, are there any first or second time visitors that are with us today? Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah.
Please let her know that her presence is our gift to us, and she does not need to put anything in there. Yes, there's a couple in the back. Yeah, good, have the back.
Don, yeah, second time visitors, we fully intend to join, I guess. We're going to be gone next week, but I was talking with, I think, Kathleen.
Yes.
Who was talking to me, so we're going to be excited to be new members.
Thank you. Welcome back. This is your second time, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you can let the basket pass one more time. Next time, in the middle section, first or second time visitors. We have a great crowd today. On my far left, your right, first or second time visitors. Yes, sir, if you would, please.
I'm Sammy Brooks. I'm a member of the UU Church up in Yarmouth, Maine.
Wow.
And I'm here with my wife. We actually live over in Beaufort. And there is a fellowship near where we live, which I've been to over the past month or so. And I read about yours, so I thought I'd come and stay and see what you're all about. So,
Thank you. So we'll be anxious to get the score. There's other announcements to be made. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. We would want you to come back, but you should know it won't always be like this. Other first or second time visitors. Clay, if you would please, you have some announcements to make.
Thanks, Charlie. It's important to note today the sanctuary is full. It's just crazy to watch all the people here. I'm delighted to announce that we recently received 2 separate gifts to enhance the sanctuary. You'll note that these walls are the original paint from this building, and we're going to see a change soon. Joanne and Steve Malash have made it possible for us to replace our soundboard, which recently died. I want to give them a round of applause. This gift has made it possible to continue music on Malfris and our streaming services. A second gift from Marietta Kerr is enabling us to paint the sanctuary. Here's one. This will start tomorrow. And it'll give a new sparkle to what we look like. It's important to note these 2 gifts came out of the sky and are not a part of our operating budget or the stewardship drive. Important to note that. We are so fortunate to have generous congregants like Joanne, Steve, and Marietta. And I want to thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. Logistics for tomorrow, we need to describe for you guys right now. Gary.
Hi, I'm Gary Green, head of the Buildings and Grounds Group. And as far as the painting goes, what we need to do after the talk back is anyone who can stay and help and move things away from the walls and away from the front here and on the podium back here, so that when the painters come in, they are free to just start painting and they don't have to do the moving. So anyone who can stay to help, that would be great. And also, take a look at what we have now. It's a wonderful place. But as Clay said, 15 years, take a look at the walls, and then when you come back after the painting, take another look. And I think we will all feel warm and fuzzy about it.
I've been here for a number of years, and I continue to be amazed at the energy that's in this place, and the heart that's in this place, and the direction that's in this place, and it's a privilege to be a part of that. I hope you feel the same way, too. Is there any announcements that I have forgotten? anything that needs to be brought to our attention. If you would please, be ready to hear Dr. Duff as he brings us the opening words. It's a privilege to have him a part of our community, an active member, an extraordinarily talented man, and I am pleased to be able to have him here. So Dr. Duff, if you would please.
Purgatory on Halloween. It seems a perfect match. Our opening words are from a poem by John Reamer. Now is the time for turning. The leaves are beginning to turn from green to red to orange. The birds are beginning to turn and are heading once more towards the south. The animals are beginning to turn to storing their food for the winter. For leaves, birds, and animals, turning becomes instinctive. But for us, turning does not come easily. It takes an act of will to make us turn. It means breaking with old habits. It means admitting that we have been wrong and that this is never easy. It means losing face. It means starting all over again, and this is always painful. It means saying, I am sorry.
If you all would turn to hymn 130 in your book, and I'm gonna read it aloud, and we have this hymn to read because Tom has chosen it for his talk on Purgatorio, and so he chose the first three stanzas of this hymn, and if you look at the first three verses, each one begins with "O liberating something." So "O liberating rose" is the first one. The second verse is "O liberating fire." And the third one is "O liberating song." So these symbols have take great precedence in the Purgatorio, apparently. I do not personally, I don't know the Purgatorio, but anyway. So, "O liberating rose that glows on ragged stem, your beauty helps all hearts lose power to condemn. Your buds are tight with prophecy, your thorns a tougher poetry. You sign the whole and gift of life. O liberating fire that calls for cleansing, rage whenever hurtful lies distort your present age. Your dancing dreams our liberty to challenge each indignity. You sign the whole and faith of life. O liberating song, whose echoes now we sing, your lyric swelling line rekindles strengthening. Your harmonies portray the time when seeds we sow shall bloom sublime. You sign the whole and hope of life.
On behalf of the Sandalwood Food Pantry and Bluffton Self-Help, thank you for your continued support in providing non-perishable food items. We welcome your weekly donations that are placed on the table in the back of the sanctuary. In support of the work that we do within the walls of this beloved community and beyond, we will offer the baskets for your contributions. Thank you for visiting with us today. Please allow the basket to pass if you are a first or second time visitor, as your presence is our gift. Thank you. Thank you for your generosity.
This is the time in our service where we share our joys and concerns, and in sharing our joys we can celebrate with one another, and we share our concerns in the hopes that we can work together and help each other lighten those burdens. So if you have a joy and or a concern, please come forward, take a stone from the basket, give us your name and briefly share with us your joy and or concern, and then place your stone in the cairn.
Good morning. Good morning. My name's Mike Nicholson and my wife Betsy Morehouse. We've been away all summer and we are thrilled to be back with you all. And to see some new members. I'm not sure who the guy in the beard is. I aim to find out. We've had a wonderful summer until it wasn't. Betsy fell and broke 2 large ribs at the beginning of September. And we waited 5 weeks, and then we got on the plane to come south. And it wasn't an easy trip. If you've ever had broken ribs, you know what I'm talking about. But we're here, and she's doing really well, and we're just thrilled to be here. I have started my treatments. If you've heard an earlier announcement, you know what those are for. I have been diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease, and a miracle of miracles, there are now treatments for Alzheimer's disease, so as long as you're in the early stages. So I had my first treatment about a week ago, and all is well. So far, I'm much brighter, much more aware. You can talk to Betsy about that. Might be the best way. Yeah. So anyway, thank you. Good to be here.
So I'm Diane Valeri, and I am here to let you know I'm now a grandma. So baby was 8 weeks early, but mom and baby are doing fine. So welcome. He doesn't have a name yet. Welcome, baby Turner.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Kathleen Kelly, and this is not an announcement, it's a thank you. On behalf of the membership committee, thank you for the people who helped and for the people who came to our dinner on last Friday night. Was it Friday? Saturday night. And to our committee fair on Sunday. Each of these events looks simple, but it takes preparation and it takes work. So thank you to the members of the committees, and we heard that some of you joined committees. That's great, we're thrilled. And we're going to be having a holiday meal. It's a traditional meal we've had here, but this year it's going to be during the week. So I'm putting you on notice ahead of time. Mark your calendars for December 11th. It's a Wednesday night. We're doing a little experiment. Maybe having it during the week is better than having it on the weekend. Maybe you're going to rebel and say, no, we won't come on a Wednesday night. But we're experimenting with this to see how it goes. So mark your calendar, and it's bring your favorite holiday dish. So thank you.
I'd like you to keep in your hearts two long-term members of the congregation, Adele Meyer and Edie Long Henry, who are both at home and dealing with serious health issues. So keep them in your hearts.
I'm Barbara Popka, and I have two joys. I guess I should get a start. So my first joy is just, I was greeting today and just watching everybody come in and how happy everyone was to see each other. I was recently at another house of worship yesterday, and I didn't see anything like that at that house of worship. So anyway, it just made my heart feel great to see how happy everyone was and what a dynamic congregation we are. My second joy, I don't know, some of you may have read a little article in the newsletter this week about the growth in our congregation, and I wrote that article. But I just want to tell you that today, I think, we broke a record in terms of attendance, I think. I counted, it's either 111 or 112 people. Somebody came in. Somebody came in, and I don't know if I counted her. Right, but, you know, it's at least 111. It may be 112. So I'm like thrilled to see these numbers, and thanks to the growth team for everything that they've been doing to help the world find UUCL. So it's been great.
Hi, I'm Mary Lynn, and I'm here because I have a tremendous joy. Ralph and I have a wonderful grandson who has a fabulous wife, and they are going to have a baby. And so we are going to be great grandparents. And so my prayer is that all goes well, because they are so wonderful together, and they just make my heart sing. So I wanted to share our joy. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Joanne Brown. Well, that was announced earlier. I have a joy and a little bit of a sorrow, too. My husband and I are very fortunate. We're going to our favorite other island besides Hilton Head, which is Kauai. on Saturday for a little more than a month. But my sorrow is that I won't see you for over a month. And that'll be really sad because we love this congregation. So thank you for being here.
I'm Marietta Kerr, and I am filled with joy that I want to share with everyone. As most of you know, I have been under the care of Hospice of the Low Country ever since May. My goal was to live until October 18th, to go to Rhode Island for a birthday and anniversary celebration for my brother. I did it. I rented a house. My grandchildren and children came. We had a wonderful time. We have a very diverse family. We have one person who is a gun dealer, one person who is a retired professor from the University of Rhode Island, another who is a man who is dependent on drugs, who's in recovery, and we have one who's a lieutenant in the Air Force, and we could go on. And I just had a wonderful time. Now my goal is, I haven't had enough. I want to live until April 13th, when my first grandchild will be married. And I think that with the love of my family and this congregation, that I may make it. So thank you.
Hi, I'm Mary. I have an announcement. Well, it's not really an announcement. It's a joy. Be careful how I put that. It's a joy. My neighbor and friend, Gwyneth Saunders, who's running for the state senate in District 46, which includes Sun City and a lot of the rest of you, on Friday evening, found out she got the endorsement of James Clyburn, which is a big, he doesn't do a lot of endorsing of local candidates, so that's a really, really big deal. So I'm happy for her.
Hi, I'm Linda Klingman, and I ask that you hold in your hearts and thoughts. Myself and my husband, this week, we're going up to MUSC and trying to find out a little bit more about what's going on, and just trying to find out what's going on.
We're with you, Linda.
Thank you.
At this time, I will place 2 stones in the cairn for the joys and concerns that remain and that have been unspoken. Also, I will offer a stone in honor of those children who have lost their lives to gun violence. We will hold them and their families in our hearts. Those of you who have not yet taken a stone to carry with you as a means of constant remembrance, please take one after the service today if you wish. And we have a new cylinder there as where we will be honoring the children with our stones. Now if you will join me in reading the affirmation together. It's number 437 in the back of your hymnals. Let us worship with our eyes and ears and fingertips. Let us love the world through heart and mind and body. We feed our eyes upon the mystery and revelation in the faces of our brothers and sisters. We seek to know the wistfulness of the very young and the very old, the wistfulness of people in all times of life. We seek to understand the shyness behind arrogance, the fear behind pride, the tenderness behind clumsy strength, the anguish behind cruelty. All life flows into a great common life if we will only open our eyes to the companions. Let us worship, not in bowing down, not with closed eyes and stopped ears. Let us worship with the opening of all the windows of our beings, with the full outstretching of our spirits. comes with singing and laughter, with tears and confiding, with a rising wave too great to be held in the mind and heart and body, to those who have fallen in love of life. Let us worship and let us learn to love.
So as Dr. Duff begins to come up to the pulpit, I want to let you all know that this has been a busy day. We're a little bit behind in our normal schedule, but I've asked Tom to take all the time he needs to be able to speak to us, and I've also made sure that the bathrooms stay open during the rest of the service.
Well, first of all, I need to thank everyone who attended my earlier homily on Dante's Inferno for nonetheless coming back to hear this one, this journey through the next realm, which purely for the sake of alliteration I've called Into the Dungeon with Dante. Dungeon isn't a terrible substitute for the actual place, Purgatory, or in Dante's language, Purgatorio, since most people committed to a dungeon did not remain there, but were eventually released. That is, in fact, what happens to all of those who have died and find themselves in purgatory. Ultimately, they will be freed to enter the highest realm, paradise. But before delving into our dungeon, it would probably be helpful to take a couple of detours. I think, Dave, are we ready to?
Give it 10 seconds and it has to warm up.
Oh, it has to warm up?
Yeah.
Like me?
Yeah. There you go.
I think. The initial one, as I say, is to remind ourselves who Dante was. Born into a middle-class family in Florence, in Italy, in 1265, he at an early age demonstrated his poetic prowess, and at the same time became involved in politics, joined the city's militia, fought in several battles against rival states, and all in all was a highly regarded citizen, a friend to many, until an opposing party, the Black Guelphs, took over the Florentine government. Unfortunately, during his political years, Dante also made a number of enemies, fierce enemies, and at age 35, he was banished from the city with the threat of death if he ever returned. During his exile, which proved to be permanent, he began writing the Divine Comedy, his long 3-part poem beginning with the Inferno, then Purgatorio, and finally Paradiso, which he finished shortly before his death in 1321. Our second detour takes us to how the idea of a middle realm, namely purgatory, became part of Christian doctrine. It's a curious development, since the Bible never mentions such a sphere. In fact, 1,000 years went by before some French theologians questioned why there were only 2 realms, one for the truly righteous and one for the truly evil. Before going on, let me inject that today we might think of candidates for each of those realms. Probably shouldn't specify anyone on the national scene, But what about those deserving eternal bliss? Who would we consider? Well, certainly our four ministers. No doubt about that, and our staff, and maybe people like Gordon and Lynn. Well, no, definitely people like Gordon and Lynn. But to go back, what about vast numbers who might not qualify for either sphere? If I was presumptuous enough to think about myself, one great feature of purgatory is that I could look forward to having the purging of all my sins. How long that would take is anybody's guess. But I could also look forward to the way the fires of purgatory differ from those of the inferno. The fires of purgatory are sometimes depicted as singeing fires. But the fires of purgatory are not. They are purifying fires, fires that provide gradual transformation. To some extent, Dante's Purgatory followed a scheme established by the Catholic hierarchy, placing souls on different levels according to their sin and receiving punishment that correlated with that sin. The lower section of purgatory doesn't belong actually to purgatory proper, but contains levels for those, often through no fault of their own, failed to repent before they died. Warriors, for example, who were killed in battle. The first level of purgatory itself is for the prideful. And ascending up, we go through the envious, the wrathful, slothful, the avarice, gluttonous, and at the top, the lustful. The very peak is the earthly paradise. You may ask, why the Catholic hierarchy, the cardinals and priests, placed lust as the least of sins? Your guess may well be correct. One last detour. All of the illustrations I did on the Inferno were pencil drawings, but because Purgatorio struck me as having a sharper focus, less dreamlike, I decided to illustrate it with etchings, a technique, to be extremely brief, that uses acid to eat into your drawing on a metal plate that's then inked, and it and a sheet of paper are run through a printing press. Voila, there is your drawing on paper. So at last, we join Dante and his heavenly appointed guide, the poet Virgil, on their entry to purgatory. And one of the first things that happens is Virgil having Dante stretch out on the ground so that he can wash away his face from the grime of the Inferno. An act, as you can imagine, carries overtones of baptism. So here's one of my earliest and rather amateurish attempt at etching. Trying to capture the ritual which prepares Dante for his journey through purgatory. As mentioned, pride is the first of the sins dealt with in purgatory, and there Dante discovers the punishment for those souls. carrying heavy boulders, bends them towards the ground, to the posture of humility. Coming to the envious, their punishment hardly strikes us as less severe. Sapia, a woman who envied her nephew's rise to power, and for that reason she was deprived of sight by having her eyelids sewn together with iron wires. Another soul guilty of the same sin tells Dante that, quote, "My blood was so afire with envy that when I had seen a man becoming happy, the lividness within me was plain to see." His comment reminded me of a more recent statement by the writer Gore Vidal. Whenever I learn of a friend who's become very successful, a little something within me dies. I often wish so many statements in Purgatory didn't remind me of someone, myself. It was an eye-opener to me to learn that the souls in Purgatory, although being purged of their sins, are not morose. Quite the opposite. They rejoice at their transformation. And throughout Dante's journey, he hears groups of them singing. What would that singing sound like? It would be like what we are very fortunate to hear, a chant sung by our own Marcella and John. Thank you so much. We'll now jump ahead to the 6th charis, where the gluttonous are punished for their sin. Appropriate enough, it is having to go hungry. Each shade had dark and hollow eyes. Their faces were pale and so emaciated that their taut skin took its shape from the bones beneath. One of these shades, shown here, well, I'm sorry, it didn't come up. One of these shades, shown here, who happened to be a distant relative of Dante's wife, tells Dante that he feels the pain of hunger, but typical of the attitude of all shades, insists that he should instead speak of solace, the solace of being renewed. Dante and Virgil ultimately enter the peak of Mount Purgatory, the earthly paradise, and there he finds himself engulfed in fire. For the first time, he realizes he was sent on this journey not as a mere observer, but as one going through his own purification. As a result of his transformation, he is granted stunning visions. One of them is of a chariot pulled by a griffin. For him, the chariot comes to represent the sanctified church, and the griffin to be Christ. For us, the chariot might represent the Unitarian Universalist Association, and the griffin, the 8 principles. Again, Dante hears more singing, and it is these souls' joyfulness mixed with their pain that's the recurrent theme of Purgatory. Speaking personally, the mixed experiences I've felt have often come through other people. A friend, a child, a wife, and yet one that's never left me, that's remained indelible, happened when I was still working as a neurosurgeon. Our senior resident, in his 5th and final year of training, a fine surgeon, soon to be out on his own, and I were operating on a 3-year-old child, a child with a tumor located deep in her brain. Because of our residents' advanced level of training, I decided that for the most part, I would act as his assistant. We reached a stage when nearly all of the tumor had been removed, when an attempt was made, by whom isn't important, to remove a remaining fragment. Suddenly, there was tremendous bleeding. And despite our attempts to stop it, and by the anesthesiologist to replace lost blood, we failed. Several minutes later, the child died. Afterwards, I had to do what I think was the hardest task of my career, and with the resident went to inform the parents. As you can imagine, they were devastated. The father in particular was incensed, and there wasn't much we could do but stay and listen and share their grief. After a while, they signaled that they would like to be alone. About a half hour after I had returned to my office, my secretary told me that the parents had called and asked to see me again. On the way back, I thought I couldn't remotely blame them if they wanted to re-emphasize how upset they were. Perhaps to notify me of what further actions they might take. But that wasn't what happened. The mother simply took my arm and said, "We just want to know how you're doing." As strange as that may sound, what she said was painful. Painful because I knew I hadn't reached that level of caring for someone who might have done me great harm. In time, though, As happened to those souls in Dante's Purgatory, it became a pain to be thankful for. This central aspect of purgatory is one we might least expect, and that is how closely it replicates our life on earth. It would be wonderful if we could grow in stature without being confronted with our shortcomings and without being reminded that we will never entirely succeed. Yet at heart, we can learn that difficult self-awareness and joyous transformation cannot be separated. They are forever intertwined. The English poet T.S. Eliot was a great admirer of Dante's writing, and in his own poem, The Four Quartets, he emphasizes the same theme. His symbol of purgation is also fire, and his symbol of bliss, of redemption, is also the rose. The last line of Eliot's poem encapsulates everything he and Dante had been saying. The fire, he writes, and the rose are one. That concept, that image, overwhelmed me, and I couldn't resist trying to capture it on canvas. Unfortunately, it did not project well, so we ended up bringing the original. Okay. It is the one painting I did, not to be too hokey or schmaltzy about it, that seemed as if every brushstroke was a kind of prayer, an attempt to grasp what was ultimately beyond my grasp, yet to be reminded of the oneness of remorse and redemption, of sincere regret, and yet of singing. Thanks to Dante and to Eliot. Thanks to Marcella and John. And thanks to you.
I am delighted to call Tom Duff my friend. would also suggest that Tom is a rare jewel in our community. I would ask that you not tell him I said that, because his pride may end up in purgatory. Tom, thank you for your wisdom and your skills and your life's journey. I would like to remind all of you that there will be a talk back after our service today. For those of you that are unfamiliar with what that is, we're going to gather back here in the sanctuary. We have some questions to ask and some comments to make, and how we continue to draw from each other. So one of the ways that we function as a community. If you've never seen that before, I would encourage you to stay and just listen. Dr. Duff, if you would please, your final remarks.
My final remarks are actually the first line of the hymn that John recited. O liberating rose that glows on ragged stem, your beauty helps all hearts lose power to condemn. Your buds are tight with prophecy, your thorns a rougher poetry. You sign the whole and gift of life.
Please stand and join me in the words of closing that are in your order of service. While we extinguish this flame, we still carry in our hearts the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of commitment, until we are together again.
and the mic.